Hello, my name is Wim Lievens, and in this video I would like to present you my new tool SuperFive on the MT4 and MT5 trading platform. I will of course show you and explain you what this trading tool is all about, talk a little bit about my trading philosophy, how I look at charts, how you can use this tool, and of course we'll do some exercises on the trading platform itself. But as always, the disclaimer, as you know, when you trade CFDs, forex, futures or other instruments, you can trade on margin, and our margin is a good but can also be a dangerous thing, so be careful, learn to understand what this means. The advantage today is that you have many possibilities to try all this out on demo accounts. I would advise you strongly to do this, to test this first before you put a lot of money of your own and try to find out the hard way. So there is a better way. Test this, and of course you can always contact me for further information via my website mytradeglass.com. Good. Now, the SuperFive Trading, it's been out there for a few years on several platforms already, and is now also available on MT4 and MT5. And again, you can find this information on my website, maybe on YouTube as well, or otherwise you contact me. But why use this tool? What makes this tool special? Let me say that this tool is not a black box, it is a toolbox. It's only based on price movement, price action if you want, and it will therefore adapt to all instrument and all time frames. It has over 5 trading strategies programmed, and therefore it will recognize good market conditions and trading setups easily. It will help the trader, and this might sound a little bit strange, but it helps most people to trade less, not more, less but better. So you can use it on all instruments, whether stocks, forex, you name it, and on all time frames. Yes, also on movement bars, as you've seen with my VLBars. You could also use this on Renko if you like to trade Renko, or any other bar or candle you might use. So from that, no problem. You can of course use this tool with an alarm function. Now you can use it in real time, or you can set alarms and be alarmed through with an email or a text message. But you can also automate certain signals, so where the platform will automatically take your position, or anyway the position you have chosen. So it will avoid over trading in many cases, and also for some people stress of entering the markets, because it will recognize certain conditions and the trader can really choose when he or she wants to trade or not to trade. Now, in order to explain this a little bit more, where this tool is coming from, well, this tool is actually just a practical implementation of my trading philosophy and my price action trading course. I can say, and I'm very honored about this, that it's probably been one of the most successful online courses for the last few years. It's now available also in English. Before it was German, French, and Dutch. And what you see here is the practical implementation of this market analysis and trading strategies course, where we actually trade price movement. We look, of course, at volume, but we focus on price movement setups. And these price movement setups have been programmed in the SuperFive Trading tool. Now, trading philosophy, chart analysis, and then, of course, we'll go into the strategies and we'll talk a little bit about the business plan. Now, topics. What will you find normally in this trading course? And so where is this tool coming from? I will try to convince traders always to look at price movement first, or to learn how to analyze a naked chart first with no indicators. Try to convince people that if you add volume to that, 80-90%, yes, 80-90% of what you should know or what is important is actually right there. The last 10 to 20%, fine, all good with the indicators, whatever you want to use, but there is a substantial amount of information just on the chart. This idea, this concept has, and you will see this later, already been integrated in the tool. Now you have to understand market structure. You also see that I use the tool to trade movement bars or VLBars. This is another video or another tool if you like, or you can also use it on 5 minutes, 60 minutes, even daily charts. That's all the same, but you can do both. You can combine them in certain ways, and you also see that there are already two time frames actually programmed in the same chart. So it saves you a lot of space, and I would say to for some people a few headaches, because we are sometimes looking at too much stuff at the same time. Money management is very important in my trading course. It is not really the most important issue in this video, but if you go to the volatility exit videos or other trading courses, I will talk about this money management thing more in detail. And of course, we'll talk about strategies, which of course are at the core of this trading tool. Now, my philosophy is actually quite simple, and I like to keep things simple, and I can really I take this literally. I trade what I see. This is also what's on my website, and I've done this for many years. I learned also the hard way that this is the best way to look at charts. But in order to do that, you have to know the basics. Now, what are the basics? Well, the basic knowledge that people should have is to understand what is happening. That doesn't mean you can look into the future. No one can, but you have to try and understand what is happening. Understand how markets work. What happens when they don't move? What happens when they move? Where they could go? Why they move? Who is making them move? How the people or the companies, if you like, that make markets move, what their business model is, how they operate. Understanding this concept is very important. To me, price movements are key. This is how we can make money, because let's be honest, we as traders with relatively small accounts, who can buy 2 lots, 5 lots, 10 lots, we don't move the markets, but we have to understand these price movements, and we have to recognize these price movements, and of course we can benefit from these movements, but only then when we only trade when market conditions are favorable. Now, this is something you can I think do better by analyzing and looking at price movements in a certain way. Also, another thing is that in order to be successful in the market, and we all know it's not easy, we should understand that only 20% is analysis and strategies. Now, 20% is a lot, because in order to make money in this market, we need every percent. So every percent counts, right? So 20%, it's a lot, but then again, it isn't, because money management is even more important. And of course, the discipline, we all know, controlling the emotional side of it. We all know this now, but let's be frank here. If the analysis, if the strategy, if the money management, if this, I mean, the things where you really decide what you put to your trading plan, what your trading business is, if that is not 100% clear, if that is not 100% in your head, you haven't tested this, you have a trading plan, a trading journal, and you're seeing results. If you are not 100% comfortable with this, if the other 50% is going to be hard. So I'm good to you know, and I do this with a lot of my students, and we deal with this 50%, and it is very, very important. But let's be honest, you have to be 100% well, certain is maybe not the right word, but comfortable with the way you look at markets, with the strategies you trade, with the money management you apply. You have to understand these concepts well. Once that is in place, that foundation is there, you can build on the mental capital and the discipline. Again, I will not talk too much about this in this video, but it is a very, very important part. Last but not least, practice makes perfect. Well, I am Belgium, and the biggest, you know, this is the country of cycling, and well, it's like riding a bike. There's certain things you have to know, and you can learn maybe from a book or listening to someone, but at the end of the day, you have to get on the bike and pedal. And that's the same thing with trading. There is just no other way. Therefore, I still trade with my students in real time about 3-4 hours a day. This is some idea of the agenda, what this course, this online course is about. There's a substantial part on analysis, of course, the trading strategies, and then the trading plan, the trading diary, and so on. So it's a full package, more or less 12 hours, some hours live coaching included. Put it all into videos because it makes things more comprehensible here. Again, if you have some questions there, don't hesitate. There are also some extra videos on other tools like VLBars, the volatility exit, which is actually an important part of this tool as well, as I will explain later. And then, of course, the VL SuperFive system, which is explained in this video. Okay, now few concepts before we get to the tool. Price versus indicators, how to look at charts, the cycles, very important. I'm not gonna repeat the whole course here, of course, it's just a few slides, but just to give you some idea where I'm coming from, why this tool was made. Now this, you all know, most people know this, but unfortunately still today, these are the official numbers in Europe. I don't know how they are in the States, or maybe in the East. I don't know what the numbers are, but in Europe I can assure you that on average over 70% of the traders still lose money. And you have to ask yourself, how is this possible? Because most of these people are, you know, they work hard, they try, they read books, they try stuff, they look at the internet, you know, people who do this very often have been very successful at other things, and still it's so hard. And then why is this? You know, what makes it so difficult? And Now this, of course, is a little bit of a silly picture, but believe it or not, it's a real picture which was sent to me a number of years ago in France, and it just shows what we should avoid. And again, I don't want to tear down the use of indicators. On the contrary, they can clarify a chart, facilitate the price analysis, and for those who trade divergence, it's absolutely a plus. The point I'm trying to make is that before adding any indicators on a chart, we should be able to look at a naked chart, whether it's 1 minute, 60 minute, daily chart, whatever instrument, and we have to see certain things. And this is what I would like to explain to you, or just give you some sense of what it is in the analysis part. Now, I have to also say that a substantial part of this is already integrated in the VL SuperFive tool. Yes, I've done this as well. But again, so the point I'm trying to make here is, let's look 80 or 80+% at price movement and then use the indicators. That's all I'm trying to say. Good. Now, I like to look at this in a structured way, and I've developed some sort of a checklist which I use with the students. And why this helps is because it's a hold on, you know, it's a structure, always doing the same thing and not forgetting certain things. And I'm not saying that every step of the way is always there, but at least you have this checklist, this thing to hold on to. And we look at price movements in a structured way, try to see if we're in trend or in a sideways market. And there are some very good tricks, which market cycle we're in, what are the key price levels, where are the fair value areas, where the control or the rejection prices. Again, these are all things that are right on the chart with no indicators. What am I trying to do here? With this, I just want to answer one question. And this question is, should I be trading now? Yes or no? Many people will trade and they will look at charts and they will wait for signals. And to me, that is not enough. First, there should be the decision, or at least the analysis, which actually shows you whether market conditions are actually good. And when they are, then you can take one or other strategies out of your pocket and wait for the signal. So the where and when of the signal is a lot more important than the signal as such. That is actually what this analysis and the tool to some extent will do. I just in this slide present, and this is just an example because there's many more material in the course, but try to explain in a structured way things that we should be able to look at before we do anything, and like the fair value areas, and also understand what happens in these fair value areas. Excess prices. This is number 2 on the chart. Why are these excess prices so interesting for us? They offer tremendously good trading opportunities. Unfortunately, many people will trade excess prices as breakouts, which will put you, unfortunately, on the wrong side of the market. How you can recognize it? Again, it gives you an edge, an advantage. You will never know for sure. Not here. This is not the point I'm trying to make. But when you add all these factors up, it will give you some sense of what is happening, and you will be able to recognize, hey, in this situation, I have an advantage. So these control prices, the trend channels, and there are other things as well. This, for example, I left it in because many people know this, but it should be a reflex. It should also be part of your checklist analysis. When you look at a chart and there is nothing on the chart, trying to see the different market cycles and ask yourself, what cycle am I in now? And should I be trading now? What is happening now? Who's in control? The buyers, the sellers? Has the market moved too far? If you put market profile or volume profile on there, you could see, okay, where could this go? Do I still have potential? In other words, is there a real opportunity? Because that is what we do. We are not like the professionals in the market who have to accumulate and distribute thousands of huge positions. We just take, we just go in there for the ride, for a little ride very often. Yeah, okay. So, but then of course we do not have this millions on our accounts to accumulate and distribute these positions. So we can only put our money on the table when there is a real benefit of doing so. Now, this whole analysis, which again is already in the tool, will give you that. Now here, this is what I want to see. I want to see beginning trends, right? This is the situation where I love to trade and where I like to take one of these strategies out of my pocket. Now, this sideways markets, for professionals, very interesting. For us, very often not good. Now, how can you recognize these situations quickly? Well, I do this with the exponential moving average 20 in combination with something else, which I will show you in the tool. But very often the benefit in trading is in avoiding or very quickly recognizing these market conditions, which by the way are, 65% of the time we're in sideways markets. Most strategies out there today are based on movement or on trends. Now, if you're going to apply these strategies based on signals only, you're going to find yourself very, very often into situations where market conditions are not good, where actually the better choice would be not to trade. Okay? So this I will discuss with you when we show the tool. But again, the point is, of course, after this checklist or using the tool, that you will, as they so wonderfully say, really try to buy low and sell high. So, but again, you have to analyze in a structured way first, understand why that is, yeah, and then hopefully really do this. The reason many people buy high is because we follow indicators. And when we follow indicators, the indicator very often has taken the price too far already. So very often you're one step or two steps late. Okay? Now, again, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of trading strategies around the world. And what I hear from the people who contact me and who are doing these trading courses is always the same, is where do I begin? There are so many. And this has value, and this is value, and this looks good, and this looks good, but what do I do? Where do I begin? And I did exactly the opposite. So I actually said, all right, let's now look at this in a very simple and structured way and say which movements or price movements, if you want, a price, a market, a stock, a forex pair, what can this thing do? Man, you could say, well, it could go up, it could go down, it could go sideways, right? And so basically what it shows here on the image is, all right, The number ones are the trends, where the first one is up, the one on the right is down. You have ranges, of course. Then you have support and resistance tests, where it actually tests and bounces back. And then you have the breakouts. Okay? Now, you can say, well, okay, that's easy. After the fact, I can see this when it's, past, and that doesn't really help us. No, what this will do is just show you the structure. I will explain later, and it's also part of the tool, how you can recognize the better opportunities with the tool. But you have to understand that no matter what strategy you use, it can always be brought back to one of these movements. So, in fact, there are not thousands of strategies. There's just a few movements that the price can do. I will bring it back into the strategies which are incorporated in the SuperFive tool. Now, this is more something for the VLBars video, but in day trading, I like to trade with movement bars, with the bar that I created myself, the VLBars. I think for short time trading, so let's say if you have positions going from seconds to minutes, I think there's a real advantage. I just wanted to share this with you. For those who are interested in this, please check out the VLBar video, also available in MT4 and MT5. This is all explained, these triads, these signals. This is important to know because I will use these triads as signals in the tool. But again, the same thing applies in the tool on normal minute, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 60-minute charts. So you can use it on all. Trade management is not for this video. There's many material on that. The only thing that I want to refer to is that the SuperFive tool allows you to trade on alerts. That means that you wait for the alert to come. You can have the sound and a pop-up, and you can have an email, and you can have different types of alerts. Or you can trade automatically. You can actually say these and these signals I want to trade automatically, and you can ask the system to do that. Now I'll show you that later. Now, in that system, that automated system, there is a fully automatic money management system as well. Now, this money management is called the volatility exit. It's a separate video. It's a separate video, also MT4, MT5. It is a money management which is calculated and which is based on ATR, on the volatility. Yeah, I think it has tremendous value. This tool is also sold separately, but for those who want to apply the SuperFive system automatically, this money management tool is included. Now, I'm not gonna talk about the money management here, but I want to go to the strategies. So we have these price movements, and we only want to trade when we have an edge, and we look in a structured way at the market, and we try to recognize the reversals and the movements and the market structures, and maybe if we see accumulation, distributions, there's a whole number of things we can look at. But the tool will help us. Yeah. And before I go to the tool, I've been, well, for the last, how long is it now? 7 years. I've, by accident, really, because people ask me to do so, written some trading courses, seminars, still as a hobby, because I'm still a trader like you. And these are the challenges here, and this is a very important slide, which I see very often, is people will trade on signals very often when market conditions are not very favorable, saying trading when there is no trend or sometimes even against the trend, or entries close to very important support and resistance levels. And these levels, we can see them on charts. There are several previous day high lows. You can look at support and resistance levels on the charts. There's the pivot levels, which are important. I love to use volume profile as well to see where the market could go and where it won't go, or maybe not immediately. So there's a lot of value there. Another issue, and this is, I think, probably the most important issue, and also one of the reasons this tool was developed, is the fear of missing out problem or issue, where actually people will trade too much. People will trade emotionally and will trade the signals. And this is something that I want to filter out more of the bad market conditions and have more focus on saying, all right, when 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 is there, then yes, then we want to trade. And so in order to avoid or to control this fear of missing out thing, the tool was created. I've already said this, entering the trade too late is often due to the use of indicators where people wait until the indicator will give the signal. In many cases, you're one step, sometimes two steps too late. Now, gambling, I have to say, I don't see this a lot anymore. Some people still try to do these things on the news, but I would be very careful with that. But I must say, I see less and less of gambling, and we're not gamblers, we're traders. The strategies, remember the 4 movements. Now, what I've done, I've actually programmed under certain conditions 5 strategies. Now, as I said, I only see 4 movements. So what are the strategies? Trend corrections, breakouts, support and resistance tests, momentum moves, and trend reversals. Those are the 5. Now, of course, many people know these moves, but again, you have to be able to recognize which ones are the favorable ones, are the good ones, and which one are the ones that you should avoid. I'll give you an example. Trend corrections, I will, and this has also been incorporated in the tool, I will try to trade only young trends or first or second corrections. If the market goes up and has corrected 5 times and it goes up a 6th time, that is probably not a good idea for me to buy. This trend is too old. I will show you how I trade breakouts. Now, people who know breakout know that breakouts, 70% of the breakouts don't follow through. They are excess moves and they fall back. How you avoid that? Of course, you will not avoid this 100%, but you can filter out a lot. And also this has been included in the tool. Support and resistance tests. I have many traders today, especially in the forex market, who use support and resistance strategies, which are programmed in the tool and which are set to certain levels, and when these levels not only are met or are tested, but when certain moves happen within these support and resistance levels, will give you, I think, very solid signals. The momentum move is a move where actually you are in sort of an impulse move, where the move already has begun, but for one reason or another, well, very simple. No, very few people, I can't anticipate all these big moves. And sometimes these big moves happen, and you see it right in front of your eyes, but you're not in it. This is also very difficult. You can't see it. This is a trick. The momentum strategy is actually I developed out of pure frustration, because I saw sometimes these moves and I wasn't in it. So I said, I have to develop a trick to still be able to enter that trade. And then the trend reversals. Well, trends are not forever. Why do I like trend reversals under certain conditions? Is because trend reversals very often are the beginning of a new move. And I love to be at the beginning of a move. The fact is, people ask, will it make my chances of winning bigger? In that, there you have to be careful, because that depends on the analysis. But what it will do, always, if you enter at the beginning of a move, whether it's a trend or a trend reversal, the potential risk reward you have is substantially within your favor. Now, you never know this on 1 or 5 trades. But if you do 500 trades in the next 6 months, that will make a substantial difference in your business model. This is more something for the trading plan and the diary, but that's very important. Now, the SuperFive Anatomy, the 2 components, VL trend and VL volatility, the algorithms, the strategies, and the practical implementation, I will show you now in this part. And you see how it looks. What you have is the candle. You use whatever you want, whatever time frame, whatever range, Renko, Heikin-Ashi, or VLBars. You use whatever you like, but you can see already here that you just have 2 clouds, and the green and the red is the VL trend, and the other one, the blue and the magenta, which of course you can change all these colors if you like, is the VL volatility. And even if you look at the right, you already see my VL volatility exit trading tool, or the ATR trading tool, which is already also in the image here again, but that is another video. Now, we've talked about this, why trade SuperFive, many benefits, but this is how it looks. Now, what is the VL trend? This is this green part, and again, when we go onto the trading platform, I will show this to you on actual charts in real time. So you know, it's I hope it will clarify many things. But as I said in the analysis, the only thing I'm interested in seeing is, are the conditions to trade now good or not good? And if they're not good, I have to go and look for something else, or sit on my hands, not trade. What can I see with this green cloud? Well, this green cloud is programmed around the exponential moving average. 20 is not exactly that, but close enough for you to understand. And if you understand, markets that are in trending, markets that are trending are very often, and I will show this here, it's always better if I draw this. Let's say that this is the exponential moving average 20, okay? And let's say that this is the market. Is this a good color? Yes. Well, in trend markets, what it will do, will stay more, oh, this is not good at all. I will take this. It's staying on one side of the market. And sometimes you can dip a little bit under, and then it goes back, and it stays on one side of this EMA 20, and it says, all right, this trend is still in play. It's still, you could say, well, whether it's healthy or not, that's another discussion, but it's still there. Now, I said to you that once you have this, at a certain moment, this will happen. Sometimes you get a lower, this is doing something very strange here, it's making lines. You have a lower high sometimes, like this for example, and then boom, it will fall under this line. Now, if the distance on both sides of the EMA 20 is more or less the same, then for me, trading is over. It's over. I will not, I will wait. Why? Because to me, there is a substantial chance that the market will go sideways. And I don't want to trade when it's sideways. Now I'll try this color also. So, this is great stuff. So when the market here could go sideways like this, I don't want that. Now what could it also do? It could do this. It could go higher again, and then I could start trading again. Or it could go lower high, and I could short it again. That, depending on the chart analysis, I can live with. But when I see a balance on both sides of the exponential moving average 20, I will be careful. Now, what I have done in this, and this is actually, I'll just take this out, hold on, like this. What I've done actually here is I have programmed it in such a way that you will not only see the time frame that you are trading, but also the time framing or the correlated time frame above it. Let me explain that. Let's say you are a trader, a forex trader in 60 minutes. You would normally also look at four hours. Or let's say you're a trader in 1 minute on the future market, in the future market, so you also look at 5 minutes. Now what I've done here with the VL trend, I have programmed the EMA 20, but on both time frames. And that, of course, in terms of market direction, the trend, whether there is a trend, whether that trend is getting stronger, whether that trend is young or old, all these are parameters which are actually there. It's right in front of me, right? Now, there are some parameters that I can set, but only the fact visually it helps me tremendously. What it also does is that it saves me a lot of, well, headaches, because I don't have to look at too many charts. One of the biggest problems traders have is they look at 5 different time frames, because people want to have a good overview of the market, and in some strange way they try to make a big picture out of this and make some sense out of this all. But believe me, there is no sense to be made once you look at a 1 minute chart and a 60-minute chart, or you look at a 5-minute chart and a daily chart. There is no connection there. This is actually a mistake. Here it's not. The two you look at, the two correlated dimensions, because the dimension could be minutes, hours, days, weeks, or even Renko bars, VLBars. You understand? So there's a correlation there. So I think it helps. Real momentum is what you see in the blue and in the pink here on the, you can change all these colors. That will actually show you where the market is now, and whether you have an impulse move or a strong move or not. It will help me tremendously. This combined to the VL trend will allow me to set up very good algorithms and to only have certain signals and not others. So it looks simple, and we've tried to make it very simple, but believe me, there's a lot of work went into this, and so that is actually what it is. And now these 5 strategies are actually built around these 2 clouds. That's how you should see this, right? And I will, of course, explain all this. Here you have the parameters or the configurations in order to structure it a little bit. Of course, we can set long or short or both signals. I will be very honest with you. Me personally, I will very often only set one side. So I will do my analysis. I'll look at my do my trend channel, look at the important levels. I will look at the market profile or the volume profile, and try to see on the charts what is the way of the least resistance. For day trading, I use 30 minutes. I have many people who use daily charts when they trade forex. So it's to have an idea. So once I have an idea, let's say it's long, I would set long signal true, short signal false. Then signals wanted is just above there. It's set at 10. That is after the color change on the VL trend. How many corrections or how many momentum trades would you do? Now I set it here at 10, but normally people set this at 2, 3 at the most. In that way, you filter out all the trends and all the moves. You only focus on young moves and young trends. And then you have the strategies. Look, they're all there. Corrections, reversals, momentum, support and resistance tests, and the breakouts. Of course, for the support and the resistance tests and for the breakouts, you have an upper and a lower price level you have to set. That's very easy to do. You can learn this very easy, and most people can see this and can set this level, and then it will draw this level on the chart, and as I explained, it will trade certain signals. So, but these are the 5. Now, then the question comes, yeah, Wim, can I set them all 5 of them? That, of course, is not a good idea, and that is not the concept of this. People will have a preference for 1 or 2 signals, maybe 3. But what you can do is you could, for example, set 2 signals in one chart and then take the 3rd signal in a separate chart. You can open as many charts as you like, and this can run in several charts. But do not activate these 5 signals in the same chart. This is not the point. Yeah. For me, and people always ask this, Wim, which ones do you trade? Well, I do the corrections and the reversals. That is those are my personal favorites. 95% of the trades I do is with this tool, and within these 2, I will show it to you later. So you have long, short signal, how many signals, you have the 5 strategies, and then of course you have the alerts. You have different alerts. You can activate the alerts, you can deactivate them, pop-up box, play sound, send email, notifications. Enfin, you can set it how you like. And of course, as I said earlier, you can set the alerts, but you can also, and this is with another expert advisor, have the trades be triggered automatically. Okay, good. All colors, it can all be changed to your. I will show you on the platform. You can all change it how you like. The trend corrections, and to most of you, I do not have to explain to you what trend corrections are. But what I do want to talk about here is what is the difference between good and maybe not so good trend corrections. The first thing is the young ones, meaning the first correction and the second corrections, are the one that you should focus on. Also, what you should take into account is that a correction should be deep or long enough. It means a correction of, and I will show this again. All right. A correction has to be, and I can take this maybe. Oh, that's better. A correction for me has to be minimum 30%. So if the market goes from here to here, well, if you have a move like this is not a correction. The correction to me has to be 1/3 minimum, right? Like this. And then it doesn't go there. Then boom, it goes lower, 50%. Boom, it goes lower, 70%. Now, what I try to understand to people is that the 70% correction, when many indicators have already turned to the downside, is very often the better entry than the first one, okay? Now, the tool is in a way set up to show these corrections to you. And don't forget, if you enter there and you lose here, this is 1 centimeter. Now, but if this is the good one and you lose the second one here, you lost 2 centimeters. But if this market moves, you make 8 centimeters or 12. That is the point I'm trying to make, right? So I'll clean this up here a little bit. Okay, hold on. It's all these drawing tools. It's a headache. So this is what I'm trying to say with trend corrections. They should be deep enough and young. Okay, good. Now you get this PowerPoint or PDF presentation as well, and it actually shows you some signals. You see them here now, and this is something that I have to explain to you. In the correction alert, correction trades, there are 4 different possibilities. That means within the corrections, there are 4 different trading possibilities. Now, which are they? It's very simple. Remember that I said to you, and I'll do this on the short side, that I said, well, here you have the higher dimension, exponential moving average 20 zone, if you like, and this is the short one. Okay. Now, markets will very often turn at these levels. Then you could ask yourself the question, well, do you want to trade on the time frame that you are seeing, or do you want to trade on the time frame which is above the one that you are seeing? Remember the example, 1 minute, 5 minutes. So this here would be 1 minute, and this here would be 5 minutes. Okay, good. Now, what you can do is you can make the alert on the, I would say, faster dimension, or on the slower dimension, or on both. That's already 3 possibilities. So you have the fast one, the slow one, fast and slow one. That is one option. Then there is a 4th option, and you see that you also have, and we'll change the color because it's better. I'll use the black one is better. Yes. You see here that you not only have the VL trend here, but you also have the VL volatility or the momentum. Now you see here that it is turning blue there, and then, so actually the trend is going down, but here the momentum is going up. Now, when that volatility or momentum turns down again in the direction of the trend, so the two are in sync, that's when I want to trigger. Now, what you will also see in practice is that very often these corrections will go quite far, and as I explained before, there is a strong enough correction to justify a trade. What is a justified trade? A justified trade is the one, not only the one that so-called will make me win all the time, because that is not the reality, but that in a substantial amount of cases will make me risk maybe $100 here, and will give me 300, 500 or more. And that's where the key is. That is the business model. Now, you also understand that markets, if you look at this line, at the slow dimension line, that markets turn away, go back, turn away, go back. And you will see that several of my strategies are built in such a way that they will try to trigger signals close to that line. Why? Well, if I am able to recognize trend situations, and if I am able to enter market close to the center, if you want, of gravity, where the market is leaving and coming back, maybe breaking through sometimes, but then coming back. When I'm able to enter close to that line, I have an edge. Okay? So that is the first one, the corrections. And once you do this on the tool, really it is quite simple. I've shown a few examples. Now, reversals. What is the advantage of a reversal? Now, sooner or later, the move is over and the market will reverse. And you've all known these mature trends, trend failures, where the market turns. Now, I combine this again with some other features. Yeah. And what it actually is that I like to see, I can see the balance of power between buyers and sellers, and that will make me decide whether I trade the reversal, yes or no. Let me explain that. You see here on the left side, you see the green VL zone, and then you see the red VL zone. But if you look carefully, you will see that the green zone is actually stronger. It is thicker. That means the buyers are still stronger. Because if the sellers would be stronger, this area would be a lot thicker. It isn't. Now what you also see is that very often you will see a higher low. Here there is one, there. When it breaks through there, that are the reversals that I want to do. So if you would have an example where the cloud, the green-red cloud or the VL trend has exactly the same thickness, or is, for example, very thin, I wouldn't touch it. Yeah. But if you see this imbalance, and if you see for a reversal to the upside, you see a higher low, even better, that are the signals that I love to trade. And you can see this once you get an alert, it's very easy to see, hey, where is the balance? You've done your analysis. Very often, remember, I will just set the alert, of course, in one direction. Again, it has to be, well, perfect is not the word that I would use in trading, but it has to be, let me say, balanced in your favor. Yeah. When all these elements line up, that's when you have the advantage. The momentum trades is the one, remember, that I built out of frustration. And what do I actually mean with that is, we've all witnessed this. If the market, for example, goes and then out of the blue, you get this boom, and the market, you see it just shoot up, and then you say, oh wow, look at this, wow, what a great move. And at the same time you can say to yourself, no, I'm not in the trade, and now of course I'm afraid to buy, because once I'm going to buy, it's going to turn, and so on. Well, we've all been there. So this is something that, and here sometimes you get these signals also on minute or 5 minutes or 15 minutes or even 60-minute charts. But this strategy works extremely well with movement candles, VLBars. If you prefer to use range bar, that's the same, but it works tremendously well. Why? Because this huge move, I'll take another color, will of course will do this, because every bar has the same size. Now what will, not always, but what will very often happen it will hesitate. It might only be a few seconds before it goes further. Now this hesitation is a triad, and that gives us a possibility in the move to enter with an acceptable risk, right? This is the momentum strategy. Now these momentum strategies will trigger, and also here it is very important to limit the amount of signals that you will accept, and again to trade these momentum signals in the beginning. And this is what they look like. I just made black bars so you can see it very clearly. These signals are given on the VL volatility or VL momentum, on the blue and magenta. And whenever you have this hesitation and you have a triad and the market moves up, it will recognize that and will trigger a signal. It has to do with the inclination of the blue or the magenta bands. It's very visual. Some people don't even need the alerts. They will just trade it like this. Again, very important here. The key to this strategy is to have a hesitation or an entry relatively early. Now, how do I decide what is early and what is late? I always use the latest high or low. Let's say that it's to the upside. I want to see the latest high. It has to be under that high. If I'm over that last high already, I consider that trade too late already and I won't do it. Okay? Now, I trade these myself. Well, I would say shoot from the hip. I don't set the alerts for these one. I just see them on the chart. Okay? But you can, some people will only trade those. Support and resistance tests are very interesting, and is something that many people will do on stocks, or some do oil or commodities, and many on forex, which in the morning, for example, will look at charts. Could be daily charts, could be 60-minute charts, and will say, hey, look, this is what I see. When the market would come back to this area, this is where I would like to, for example, buy it. That would be perfect to set your support and resistance level in that area. Now, what is very important to understand is that it is not enough for the market to test this area. That is not enough. That is not enough for us to justify an alert. What you have to see within that area, within that support and resistance level area, you have to see some sort of a signal. Let's say you do a support, you trade a support test, and you want to trade to the upside. You would have to see a buying signal in that area. And the tool has made that perfectly possible. Again, these are things that I will discuss with those who buy this tool. And of course, there are 1 or 2 coaching sessions with me. I will, of course, give you some more pointers then. But that is the idea of this. So you just set the upper level, the lower level, and you just see how it's drawn, how this level is drawn on the chart. And you see here where the green arrow is, that is where the actual support and resistance buy signal was given. Not here. The green one you see here is another signal. But the second one there is actually where you had some sort of a signal to the upside. Okay? Good. Now, breakouts. And here I want to share something with you a little bit more in detail. Again, these other strategies I can do without the coaching, but here I think it is important to again to explain that there is a fine line between good setups and not so good setups. And this is the same for corrections, for reversals, people say, oh yes, I know corrections. Oh yes, I know reversals. Oh, yes, but can you make the distinction between the good ones and the bad ones? And with the breakouts, it's exactly like that. Now, let's look at this. Now, you could trade breakouts in different ways, right? And what is done very often, and let me draw this again for you. Let's say this is your breakout area, and the market is in here. It's just going like this, down, and well, people say, well, the market can't stay in there, and make their analysis. And what will many people do? They will place a stop buy order here and say, well, if the market breaks out, I'm in this thing. Okay. Now, people who've tried this know that 70% of the time it doesn't work like this. It just, they will go through and then will fall back. Now, it might do this several times. Now, what is very strange about this, that people who see this and trade it will look at markets then the next day or a few hours later and then see that the market went exactly there where they thought. But it had to try this 4-5 times. And very few people are capable mentally to take this trade 4 or 5 times. So how do we avoid this? Where do we enter? And you could also, some people say, well, and when it breaks and it comes back and it touches this level again, you have this last kiss here, and I will buy it there. It's a possibility, but I wouldn't do it that way. What I would do is when there is a new high, let's say the market goes through and it makes a new high, falls back in or tests this or goes deeper and goes back up again. When this new high is taken out, that's where I enter. Okay? Is it perfect? Of course not. Is it substantially better? Yes. What can happen? What is the worst that can happen? I say, oh, wait a minute, it could go right through and I won't be in it. Yes. But that is still a lot better than losing 70% of these trades. And then the worst of it, not being in the good ones because you lack, well, and which is normal at that moment, the courage to get in again. Even if the market goes through and you missed this trade, which will happen, you can still wait for a correction and try to trade it there. Okay, there might be another opportunity. You see, this is just an example which I try to explain that knowing something, even these simple moves, well, there's a lot of fine tuning. And again, I've explained everything on the slides. You can see the image on the right. This is how we do it. Okay. Now, of course, it has been programmed that way in the breakout algorithm, if you like. Now, does this mean that you will get every signal? No, it won't. But will it mean that you will stay out a lot of bad ones? It absolutely will. Okay. So these are the 5. Yeah. I put in some favorites of mine. I have to say I trade reversals. First try it after the reversal, or the first correction after the reversal. The first correction period or the second I still like, and I have some excess trade moves which I also like to trade. Basically, I set the alert on the SuperFive tool. I use the correction momentum as I shown you earlier, and the reversal. But again, I do it after analysis and I do it in one direction. So you know how I use it. There will be in certainly a lot of trading live done with this tool, also in English from now on, and so you can see in real time how I do this. Okay. Now you have several practical implementations, and before we go to the platform, I just want to give you a few ideas. Of course, you can trade this on one instrument. You can, when you're a future trader, and you just trade, or you would trade on the Nasdaq or the S&P 500 or whatever, and you are a fast trader, very short positions and so on. You can use this, no problem. I would absolutely ask you to go and look at the VLBars, because they will actually give you a plus. But what you can also do is say, well, I know, you know, there's nothing happening on the S&P 500. I also want to be able to look at other things, and I have many people who will trade on 4 or even 8 instruments at the same time, because it's very visual. The tool makes it very visual to recognize where there is something happening that would or could interest you, where market conditions are for you favorable, if you're a correction trader or a breakout trader. Okay, so you could set, for example, for stocks. Many people do this on Tesla or Amazon or Apple, and on the same times they have oil, and we all know how oil is moving lately. Put in one index. Some people who are on CFDs here, they will use the Bitcoin against the dollar. So you have things that are not, instruments that are not necessarily much correlated. But again, then at least the fact that you have 4 or 6 or 8 instruments will keep you busy. That is the first thing, but will also have you focus on the ones that are actually doing the movements which are interesting. So it moves the focus away from the instrument to the type of price movement you could or would trade best. In the end of the day, it's just charts going up and down. If I take a chart and I take away the name and the prices, no one would know what it is. You wouldn't be able to tell if it's a 1 minute chart or a daily chart. So it's just movements, right? Therefore, I hope it can, for some traders, it will open a little bit their horizon and not only trade the dollar against the euro or only oil. No, just try this stuff, and to do this on more instruments at the same time. Okay, now you also have this on other trading platforms, of course, but MT4, MT5 is now available. Now you have these alerts. We already talked about that and now let's go to the platform itself. There are 4 components. You have the VL trend, the VL volatility, and of course the VL SuperFive. These 3 components are indicators. I will show this to you on the platform. Now, if you want to trigger your alerts into trades, if you want to make them enter automatically the market, that is an expert advisor, and it will go in experts. I will show this on the platform. Most people know this. Now, before I go to this, we go to the trading platform, which is here, and I'll just show you how simple this is. First, let us look at where we enter these files. You open the data folder. It's here. You have MQL5. Of course, for MT4 you have MQL4. And here you have indicators. I'll double click on this and you see I have other stuff on here, but momentum, SuperFive, and the trend, all 3 are here. Okay, now the other one, expert, I have other stuff here as well. There is the SuperFive, I would say automated SuperFive, which goes in there. As always, you just load these data in there, just close the platform, start your platform again, and you're good to go. Now let us have take just one example. Let me say that I use the, what can I use? Why not? The S&P 500. There's a 1 minute chart. I just have to draw them in. Most people know this. I can take the momentum, draw it in. Now it will always ask me, do you want the bars to be colored, fill the ribbon, show the crosses? Now you have to play with this to see what your favorite representation is. Me personally, again, less is more. So I don't want these bars to color separately. I don't want to see the crosses. You can change the colors as you like, whether you want to see the lines or not. I will just click OK. So you see how that looks. Now I can then take the VL trend. Same thing, color bars. No, I want this. The colors I won't change. Just going to click OK. It's the same colors here. Okay, it just looks like this. And then of course, do not forget to add the SuperFive, which is of course the algorithms. And as I've showed you in the presentation, long signal, short signals, how much signals I want, or which strategies I want activated or not. Again, as I said, I use the corrections, momentum, I use the reversals. I can say in let's say in two directions now, just maybe to show you. Do I want alerts? Yes, I want alerts. Do I want the pop-up box? Yes, I want the pop-up box. Do I want the sound? Yes, I want it. Email? No, we won't do this. Show the text? Why not? Okay, and then click OK. Also, it will normally show errors, and you see here some of the signals short. You see here the sell signal that was given. All right, here you see also an arrow when a signal is given. Okay, now it's just an example. Now the way I represent this is like this. I created my template and I say I want it to look like this, and then you see this is what I do. Right, it also has my money management system on there. Once you've created this color for you, this is how it looks. And again, you can move to 2 minutes, you can move to 5 minutes, see, you can move to 30 minutes, you see, you can move to 4 hours, you see, you can all do this. Here is, of course, you see, there is it only gives you buy signals here because that's the last thing I did. So the last 3-4 days when I did the analysis, I would never have put buy signals. I would only have put in sell signals, of course. But you see, this again will help you tremendously knowing when to trade and not to trade. Now I'm gonna take this out. And here, there's another example. For example, here I put in several instruments at the same time. And what you see on the left is my orientation chart. I always use that one to see where I am with different instruments. But here, for example, you see oil, the crude, you see S&P 500, you see the NASDAQ, you see Apple, you see Tesla, you see the Dow. And here there's Bitcoin against the dollar. So, I mean, it allows you to combine a lot of instruments and to go really to focus only on the movement that you want to trade. Okay, so here, for example, you see a reversal to the upside here on the Bitcoin. Here is a buy signal here to the upside. Again, I will go through this with you on when we do the coaching session, of course. Now here, this money management system is incorporated in the automated version of the SuperFive. There are many people who use this ATR money management system. Why? Because it will automatically adapt to the volatility, which is very important for your money management, okay? But when you trade with the SuperFive, you have it automatically. And whether you are trading on 1 minute, 5 minutes, 60 minutes, VLBars, Renko bars, whatever, it will automatically adapt to the volatility of what you are trading, which will decrease the number of possible mistakes substantially. Okay, good. Now let me go back here to the presentation. Now MQL4, MQL5 community, most of you know, it will be available there. You can also come directly to me via my website. Of course, you will get this PDF or PowerPoint. Don't forget those who have not seen my trade class YouTube channel. There is a substantial amount of material already there. Now, of course, growing very fast, because in English for the last years it always was only German, French and Dutch, but now there will be substantially more material available in English. Now, important, last but not least, follow a checklist, an analysis to see whether markets are favorable or not. You can use the SuperFive tool for this. Remember what I told you about the VL trend. This will help you tremendously. I would not trade more than 3 strategies. Even 2 would be better. Let's focus on a few movements, but you can watch different markets at the same time. That would be good. Now, we had a little alert here, which is nice for me to show. This, of course, we had a buy alert on the Nasdaq, okay? And this was actually, see here, there's a buy alert on here close. So you could say, oh, I want to buy. Well, I could buy this here and then it would trigger the position. Of course, I have to set this here, see, and then the stops and the targets are set based on the volatility. So it was just now that it came. So analysis, maximum 3 strategies. On the money management, it was not really much in this video, but I just want to share one thing with you, and this is more part of the trading plan and the diary and so on. Do not trade above. Sometimes there are still mistakes in the presentation. Only trade below your emotional pain threshold, never above. Okay, so, and what is below the emotional pain threshold? I always say it's not something that we enjoy very much, but it's an amount of money you have to be able to lose 3, maybe even 4 times in a row without going completely mad. Okay, so I know no one likes this, but losing 3 times in a row, it happens. And then, well, that should be the level. You should be able to endure that pain. The money management scale out is also for another video. And please, 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 please don't gamble. So what we do with this tool or without is we only trade when we see an advantage. We use these EMA zones to recognize whether the trends are there, whether they're getting stronger, should we trade, should we not trade. We can use these to build algorithms, alerts, in order to only trade the moves that we would like to trade and to focus more and not to trade too much. I would say try this. Also the people, there are many people who already have this tool, but you know, go with this for a few weeks on a demo account, learn which moves you prefer to trade, what you can easily recognize. It's just amazing what you will see and how much you can do with this after a few weeks or a few months, and build up this mental capital at your own pace. And then when the results are there, slowly move, then you can turn off the pressure and start trading with amounts that you see as reasonable and which you can support. So thanks again. I'm so honored that so many people like what I do, and it's just been completely unexpected, and thank you again, and maybe we'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.